potentializing it with the analog.
Certain things that,
Oh, it's censoring my stuff.
well, it's just sulfuric acid. No, it's not. It would be so.
How many people are studying my work, man? Are studying.
Sulfuric acid, if you
We are
unkink
hexagonal borals.
Okay. Between the space-time, curved space-time itself, and the local vacuum. That's where the symmetry is coming in. Whatever happens to it from space-time is balanced by what the opposite being happened. That's stabilized. Hold it right there. It's in an equilibrium condition. So yes, this is the way you have to explain what you're doing. Now, how do you get that done scientifically? You don't have a lot of choices of people that can handle that kind of electrodynamics, but you do have them. They are available. You got to be sure you got a couple of them. Terry Barrett, Myron Evans is out of it because Myron has a genetic problem. He's in Wales right now anyway, and he's being taken care of. But he's one of the most brilliant minds on this planet, so you could use him for consulting purposes. He also is a chemical physicist. He knows not only the physics and all this other stuff and all the higher symmetry electromagnetics, he's a founder of that, but he also knows chemistry. So he'd be an ideal consultant. Terry Barrett can handle all this higher symmetry electromagnetics, and he can hang in there with all of this. So you have to have people that know general relativity, know unified field theory, where this higher symmetry electromagnetics develops so that you can unify. You can't unify U1 electrodynamics with general relativity. They're diabolically opposed. One says the space-time is flat. The other says, no, it ain't, it's curved. You can't put two things like that together. They don't fit. So, in country boy language, it's stupid to try to fit them. They don't fit. And nature's unified. Nature doesn't have it separated where they never get together and never operate at the same time. That's not true. Nature has them always operating. So what you're doing, as far as I'm concerned, is magnificent. But you're advancing chemistry out of a flat space-time, no vacuum interaction model into a non-abelian model where you have a unified field theory model where you have both a curved space-time and you have an active vacuum interacting with that system itself, with that chemical system itself, with those molecules themselves. If you manipulate the charges, baby, and change the engine they use, you can change what molecule they will form and be stable. And that's what you're doing. Can all be described with good theory.
Nobody's using
it will not fit
the analog.
The chemical model in most of those chemistries. It never will.
My ionic silver.
Because you're not doing that.
Colloidal
you're outside
silver.
their model working.
Transferred into
that's what advanced science is called. And in the scientific method, we're supposed to do precisely that if the experiments are replicable and done well. If they continue to be replicated and give results that refute
potentializing.
All they're telling us is we've got to change our model.
BP 882 protection up to 500,000 gigahertz.
So that's what ought to be done.
1 ounce of this will make 1 gallon of water at full strength, the same potency as the 1 ounce
The average
used
one with its inefficiencies and all is about 4. It
to
puts out
create
about 4
it
times as much actual
T
energy delivered and heating the air, pumping the air,
10,000
whatever,
power.
or cooling the air as you have
The
to
will
physically put in electromagnetic form.
to live,
It gets the rest of it by compressing the air and taking out the energy out of its external environment.
AU
It's an
plasma,
open system, perfectly
elite
permitted to
noble
produce heat.
shungite,
The only reason we don't close loop heat pumps in
ATP,
some of our homes
amino
is they're
acids,
diabolically designed so you can't have a high efficiency.
ADP amino
You
acids.
got to have the low efficiency.
I'm doing
The high
this
efficiency is one patent,
with the intrinsic data field analyzer at full strength at T to the 10,000
back on resistance
power,
heating. They lose so much efficiency
using
you can't get anything out of it.
photocatalytic light
So now you
and
are
programming
everything
hologram
designed to keep
in the
that
back
power meter
this
on
way.
your house and keep that gas pump meter on your gas pump. Keep you out of an electric car.
Nanoparticulates when hit with a long wave emit a short wave.
Now, the electrical engineers don't know it.
Nanoparticulates hit
The
with
electrical
a
engineer
short
doesn't
wave
even know about
emit
the
a long
heaviside
wave.
theory. It's a very rare one
Nanoparticulates
that has ever
hit
read
with
the original papers.
a long wave emit a short
And
wave.
paying attention to the fact there's a hell of a lot more energy
Nanoparticulates
coming out of the
hit with
terminals of the
scalar intrinsic data field
putting in the shaft or the
make
chemical energy
particle grid
never registered.
units
Now that's appalling after
and pseudomorph knots
over 100,
for
1880s. It's
life
appalling.
to grow
Why is not the National Science Foundation reacting to this? I
and
don't know.
also to kill life that
Why is not
doesn't
the
need to grow.
National Academy of Science? Well, for one thing, you get it's prestigious. You
And
get
also
elected
grow
to the
crystals,
National Academy of Science.
time crystals,
And you're not fixing to pull the rug out from under your prestige
Elite.
and what you've done.
noble shungite, ATP amino acids, ADP amino
Some
acids,
of the young guys
528 hertz for DNA repair,
You're not going to go
all
throw
minerals
out the whole system and start a new one.
needed
That's the problem. We have
to kill
now really
OC43
it's not
viruses,
diabolical. It's honest.
raise all
But what it
chakras,
is the whole scientific community is, the bulk of it is dedicated to maintaining the status quo.
protection
And
against
that's what's wrong with us. We're still using an archaic
mental
science.
confusion,
We're still affecting what the chemist is allowed to do because we're
Parasites.
giving him a U1 model. We're teaching him U1 electrical. He never heard
Achille to fight
of these higher
and
symmetry
kill
electromagnetics. And it's certainly, I don't know of any
all
textbooks using.
adapted viruses
They've been around a long time.
that harm
Why are we not finding
mammals,
deliberate research to
insects,
get outside the box, to get outside
fish,
the present model, so we
birds,
can get new chemistry,
left-hand
get
spin,
marvelous advances in chemistry, such as this.
life,
Why aren't we doing?
cleanse,
I don't know.
chestahedron,
Because we upset somebody's
heart,
rice bowl when we do,
energy,
and they don't want their rice bowls upset. That's basically what it's all about.
Yeah, we'll get different roads.
I'll give you one more thing, and then this will be over. When you deal with the super system,
the
you now have to understand
Prophet
engines.
Muhammad
I'm going to
Sallallahu
start with general relativity.
light,
In general relativity,
zikr,
if I change the local energy
Allah
density of the vacuum,
in the heart,
whether it's mass or whatever, any form of energy,
time it beats,
the energy density of this local space, right?
Protect.
This local position,
against
I immediately have a curvature of
all
space-time.
T1
That's the way it's modeled. I'm talking about
inflammatory
now, curvature of
diseases
space-time
used
is not just an
as
kind of idea that'll go away and not back.
aerosol.
It's a very active, dynamic thing. Space-time is
Used as aerosol
the active
kills
thing. I'm glad it is.
airborne OC43 and
it's all the energy.
all
So,
aerosol
They got it in there,
pathogens
but they call it space-time.
that
They call the part that isn't changing
infect
from the repeated
left-hand
observation,
spin
but the part that is.
life
So
in
once
unhealthy
I have a curvature of space-time,
ways
I now have
to its
Wheeler's principle. If I
biofield
change the mass
intrinsic
energy,
data
the
field,
energy in the mass rather than the mass. If I change the
cleanse
mass energy and density,
water of
I change space-time. I affect
43
space-time. I cannot avoid that interaction.
inhibit
It's automatic.
to thrive
If I change the space-time curvature and it's a mass,
left-hand
I
spin
affect the
life.
mass, and I change the mass.
love,
Now, you can get new mass. In
gratitude,
space-time, a photon has mass.
calmness,
Photon interaction with that mass
inner
now
peace,
can add mass or subtract mass.
connection with self,
You get my drift?
times
You can have
T
in this.
to the 10
If I take the
trillionth
exact
power.
exact forms of all the dynamics and all the curvatures, I call that a template, and the dynamics, I call that an engine. Because if I change the space-time itself, which I can do electromagnetically with these higher symmetry electrodes, I can't do it with U1 because it assumes a flat space-time. I don't have an engine.
No.
But if I use one of the others, I can have an engine. I can make it in space-time without a piece of mass.
Started these engines going.
A piece of mass and it'll baby work on that, dude, until that mass changes to where how it would affect space-time fits that curvature, and that curvature working on it fits what it is. So that balance between curved space-time and that. The engine works forever, and you don't have to provide any energy from it. It takes it from the whole universe.
This is why you don't wash your stuff down the drain.
So you must understand the engine.
What you're making goes forever.
Now that I'm talking about the super system, I have engines. Now the engines
finally found the information that they state and they try to do, like Trump and do meta-talk. And they talk about the tainted pork meat being the cause of this illness.
I have an observer looking from his flat space-time at that.
As you see,
the intersection in flat
I'm using photocatalysis. This programmed that intrinsic data field.
If I started with a standard set of something that I can model in a relatively
and I'm using a light pen,
and I make a peak in it somewhere where it violates that. Now if I change this whole
programming my plasma,
my peak, I didn't change what I started from.
And my ionic colloidal silver.
Recognize in your chemicals and your molecules that you form.
Earlier I was potentializing it with the analog.
Certain things that, well, that's just sulfuric acid. No, it's not. It would be sulfuric acid if you unkinked
hexagonal borals that are able to
as long as that engine is residing in that set of
do quantum tunneling
and all making
for water.
Molecule, you do not have to have
see how this perfect boral is refracting.
Stuff. For example,
you'll know you're getting to the right TDS, or total dissolved solutes.
Space-time is a broken equilibrium, a very fundamental.
When you see the same
you do not have to have what you have in the equilibrium
refraction,
and it can be stable as long as that curved space-time is stable. The business of charging one in
the laser should be hitting straight right there.
For a long time. You can just hold that and stay there and sit on the shelf, and all this. It doesn't have to decay. When it does decay, it decays very slowly, usually, unless you take special measures to convert it. But yes,
so lets you know that you're getting enough zeta potential in the van der Waal.
Now, it can be
modeled, water dimers.
It can be accurately expressed, including the exact molecule you form.
They have enough energetics to pull light, change it.
Engines, to add curved space-times, to add active vacuum going on all at the time. If you get a balance,
the negative warp of such
the stuff coming out of the vacuum
is able to pull
and the stuff coming from space-time.
The light
the only
and
place
energy.
Equilibrium is where this crazy molecule exists.
Not
that
mutate,
molecule
but
will
destroy.
Lock in. You see what I mean? You got yourself
coronavirus and its mutations that come from the Quiche Foundation's selling of tainted meat for the last 4 years.
That we normally look at, forget the space-time and forget the vacuum. Look at 3 space. We're not looking at 3 space. We're in 4 dimensions. Or if you want to, you can be in 11 or 12. Depends on what you want to use to model it. So, you can have a molecule which is absolutely unstable in the present situation. The present model would be totally unstable. But if you have violated that model and you have achieved a balance between these other two components of the super system,
you're able to do what he's talking about. Intrinsic data fields.
And what the guy in the lab will see would be a terribly unstable condition. It will not be unstable.
When you use actual focal light, you just see that 2D.
That he's wrong in his model.
You understand?
He would be correct if you were using the situation described in his model, assumed in his model. The background conditions, the initial conditions and all that, automatically assumed in his model. If you were applying those, then you could not be doing this, and he would be right. Since you are not using those conditions, you have deliberately changed them by adding an engine, making an engine.
Using the light to program the holograms much faster and much more in depth.
And the interaction from the vacuum. Once you have a balanced equilibrium there, that will hold that state, even though it would be normally unstable.
As you said.
It'll be just stable as a rock. Under its conditions, that is a special form of symmetry. Not in 3 space where the normal chemist is looking, between the space-time and curved space-time itself and the local vacuum.
replicate BPA82, potentialize,
So how do you
broadcast.
Well, let's think very simply. We either have to give up entirely the conservation of energy law because we now have creation of energy by the source charge and source output.
Straight line ahead of that.
Humboldt's law of 1848. That's right. We either have to give up the conservation of energy law, which would be a thing to do very reluctantly because there's so much proof of it in other things. So provide a variety of proofs. Or we have to say there's an input of energy that's not observable.
Right now, I'm also imprinting inside of this
energy and poured out in three space. Then we say, well, where is this energy coming in? The same as this is doing. It's not coming in three space. Well,
you can meditate, potentialize, BP882.
Coming in the time domain over in that fourth.
That's all this is doing by doing it for me.
So I'm having energy.
Otherwise, you can do it as a cycle knot.
We find a solution because we look at the nature of spin. Spin is not just turning around like a ball or a top or something. It's a much more complicated concept. But if I sort of think of it as spin, it's sort of like the spin spins 360 degrees over in the complex plane, then spins 360 degrees in three space, real space. Well, while it's over spinning in the 360 over in the time domain, it can absorb energy coming in the fourth axis because the charge is looking over there and it's open to the receipt of energy from that domain. Then when it starts to rotate, so to speak, in three dimensions over in real space, it's already excited by this time energy, the energy it received in the time domain. So it is decaying now. It is putting out the energy, emitting the energy. It absorbs in the time domain, emits in the three space. In fact, it emits longitudinal waves. Now, I can find very powerful support for that in two other areas. One is particle physics and one is quantum field theory. In quantum field theory, for example, Mandel and Shaw in their standard textbook, Quantum Field Theory, Wiley, 1984, Chapter 5, they very strongly look at a very similar problem. They look at the longitudinal photon and the scalar photon, which is a time-polarized photon. The energy is over there oscillating on the time axis. Okay, so what we have is we have a very strong argument that neither the scalar photon, that is the time-polarized photon, nor the longitudinal photon, which is over in three space, are individually observable. But if you somehow can combine the two, they are observable as the instantaneous quantum potential. Nice, because if I go back to Whittaker 1903, his decomposition of the scalar potential in the bidirectional longitudinal waves, Whittaker made an error in his interpretation. It's a standard area made throughout most of U1 electrodynamics.
Make your own silver, potentialize, meditate,
charge, in other words, what's diverted from the charge. They don't ever specify the wave in space, or the photon in space, or the
water globe,
space. They always
air
do the thing
scrubbers, use short-wave lights on them,
you have to have something causing
cleanse your water, treat your water,
because
use it to disinfect your animal's fur, countertops and touch surfaces, your hands, money. Potentialize and put this stuff inside a coconut oil.
These two give you the instantaneous quantum potential, and if I reinterpret Whittaker's
turmeric tea
straighten out the fact that he
with
had
it,
two effects rather than a cause and effect.
so that your intestines get coated and can't get inflamed or anything from the stress and get compromised.
The same thing from quantum field theory, from particle physics.
Broadcast,
quantum field theory. Now, in particle physics, we have the fact that with the award of the Nobel Prize, any dipole is known to have to be a broken symmetry in the active exchange with the vacuum. The very definition of broken symmetry means
use ionic colloidal silver
in that exchange area has been violated.
As your medium.
Symmetry means. So what it means is if I have
nanoparticulates,
the time domain, it means that it's not
when hit with a long wave, emit a short wave. When hit with a short wave, emit a long wave.
And that is exactly what's happening over in the other.
The best way of programming
so we have an agreement between
holograms or simulating large bodies of water or large beacons of water in the environment.
In 1903, and
treating people through biophosphorylation since the body communicates with
so we can state now that all EM energy in free space
through phosphorylation and how it assimilates nutrition
enters there from the time domain. Basically,
through zeta potentiality and phosphorylation.
We have converted a little
It is able to break down ATP
How powerful is time energy?
from
Let me give you a little
ADP.
experiment to think of in your head. A little thought experiment. Suppose that I have some spatial energy, electromagnetic energy in space. And suppose I reach in here and I compress this by the factor c squared. I'm in 3 dimensions now. I've compressed this down to a very dense energy in 3 dimensions. What can I do with this? Well, I can leave it right where it is, in which case it's known as mass. That's E equal mc squared, standard thing, familiar to everybody, no big problem. Everybody can get their mind a hold of that. But I don't have to leave it in 3 dimensions. If I pick this thing up and I put it over in a time domain, what I've really done is change the photon oscillations from lateral in 3 space to lateral over there along the time axis. So I have a longitudinal wave in a time domain, and it becomes what we call time. So time itself is pure energy, and it, in fact, has the same energy density as mass. It's very powerful energy. If you want to deal with powerful energy in the photon, you don't deal with a spatial energy component, delta E. You deal with delta T, because you got to multiply it by c squared to find out how much spatial energy has been compressed into.
Get Tanner's mass with 3 millimeters.
Photon in the world,
Cartridges.
low frequency photons.
Soak them with programmed ionic silver.
Photons. They have less spatial energy, but the amount of time goes up as
Wash everything down with ionic silver.
Spatial energy, and you multiply that by c squared. So by having the spatial energy, you go up to 2c squared times
when it's done properly. Get an warp tester so you can make sure the warp is high.
Low frequency photon, but carried as time. And see, that's really the reason that Tesla was always playing around with lower frequencies. A lot more energy. The real high energy physics is in converting the time into energy, which is always done by the source charge anyway. Just use that process nature has given us, which is a negentropy process. It's an open system, far from equilibrium. It's not your classical equilibrium thermodynamic system. You've got to go to the thermodynamics, like, for example, of the kind that Prigogine was given the Nobel Prize for contributions to in 1977. Any open system far from equilibrium with an active environment is capable of doing 5 magic functions the U1 model prohibits. It is capable of self-ordering. The order comes out of nowhere. Don't worry about it. The system does it itself. It's capable of self-oscillation or self-rotation. Don't worry about it. All the energy, the energy is coming from the external environment, and it can oscillate back and forth, coming in and out. It can also output more energy than you have to put in there. It can also output less energy than you have to put in, than you do put in there. The other thing it can do, you don't have to put anything in. It can power itself in a load. I've been working on this from a power viewpoint. If you go turn the space-time the other way, it'll take energy out and put it back into the time domain. You'll get time increase in the amount of time, but you'll also get cooling energy. You get negative energy instead of positive energy. All that is instead of the energy being divergent, it's convergent. And it's perfectly.
And that's what you want, is convergent energy.
One is cooling, one is heating. You don't have to have heating when you got energy. If you open up the model. Now, if you go to U1, you're playing with fire because you're just not going to get it that way. And if you use classical equilibrium,
you can tell it's magnetic by the way that it bends the light.
To determine how a non-equilibrium system operates. First of all, it's already at a higher energy. It's already at a excited state. It's not at equilibrium. So that thermodynamics doesn't fit. You don't have to worry about the second law. That belongs to the old thermodynamics. You have broken the second law because...
Live and learn, everybody. Replicate, potentialize, broadcast, BP882.
Between the space-time, curved space-time itself, and the local vacuum. That's where the symmetry is coming in. Whatever happens to space-time is balanced by
ions
the opposite thing happens.
Hours later.
Right there. It's in an equilibrium condition.
Something that they don't show you to do with each one code.
You have to explain what you're doing.
One life.
How do you get that done scientifically?
Look how much stuff is still there.
You don't have a lot of choices of people that can handle that kind of electrodynamics.
Well, on this video, even if I had
you got to be sure you got a couple of them.
there's still stuff there.
Myron Evans is out of it because Myron has a genetic problem. He's in Wales right now anyway, and he's being taken care of. But he's one of the most brilliant minds on this planet. So you could use him for consulting purposes.
See who's showing how to bend space.
Physicists. He knows not only the physics, but all this other stuff and all the higher symmetry electromagnetics. He's a founder of that, but he also knows chemistry.
Morphogenic fields,
so he'd be an ideal
field theory,
Terry Barrett can handle all this higher symmetry electromagnetics. He can hang in there with all
ability to potentialize, replicate anything.
You have to have people that know general relativity,
grow organs,
know unified field theory where there's higher symmetry
space program,
so that you can unify. You can't unify U1.
Wake up, kids.
For general relativity, they diabolically opposed. One says the space-time is flat. The other says, no, it ain't, it's curved. You can't put two things like that.
Showing my secrets and sharing secrets.
So,
my wife and others for years try to wake you guys up. The bodies are being taken over. The creatures like Listeria that use flavings and reverse
so what you're doing
energetics
is magnificent,
of EET,
but you're advancing chemistry out of
static electron transport.
Into a non-abelian model where you have
a lot of people get so hungry
field theory model where you have both
they're trying to use those amino acids.
You have an active vacuum interacting with that system itself, with that chemical system itself, with those molecules itself.
Entropy, you don't have
if
to
you manipulate the charges, baby, and change the engine they use,
lovingly.
You can change what molecule they will form and be stable. That's what you're doing. Can all be described with good theory. It will not fit the chemical model in most of those chemists' heads.
Remember to use a black light.
Because you're not doing that. You're
sterilize the atmosphere.
It's okay. That's what advanced in science is called. And in the science...
PVC light.
No.
Another video that they won't let go.
The way that I made this, as you see, as Leon knows, it's been growing so relaxing. This batch here that you see in the flask, this is what made all these ionic silvers here. And as you see on our business card, that which we say is the chakras, so you see is the color spectrum of silver itself, also gold, surface plasma and resonance, showing what it's good for. Now, the way that I made this, as you see, as Leon knows, it's been growing a silver bud in it by itself. These guys are programmed, but the stuff you've been using isn't programmed. Only with your thoughts. And today you told me something beautiful, something that I can notice because I don't see it in your eye. Something that I had told you about several years back when we first met in the other store.
Oh, yes, I had cataracts, and under the last batch you gave me, after about 2 weeks, my cataracts was gone. My cataracts was gone from using the silver, bringing them in my eye.
Different ions, they release and destroy the different hydroxyapatite crystals and those things that use them to oxidize and spin them to right-hand spin. You need the ions. Keys Foundation, the way that they make their plasmas, doesn't make ions. And the importance of making water dimers that stick to the glass is you oxidize the silver so the ions stay in, and that which was released forms on its own sulfide pseudonaut life, or dendritic crystalline growth. All these are all potentialized and programmed. It's a perfect mix of gold and silver plasma. Again, none of these were programmed. Only thing that was different, I believe, his brother used his focal crystal. See, the energetics are different in him because he used it. Remember your instance in the one time that you used this, Randy? How's your shoulder?
For me?
The brother that's watching this.
Oh.
A brother that used this and held it and it fixed his arm. Remember when I had all the plasmas here?
Yeah.
How did you feel? Because you would always come and stand in front of them. If you could share your experience.
Well, I felt the energy. That's why I kept coming back here. That's what all I can say about it. I felt the energy. It made me feel better.
This stuff's been sitting for several months. The Keys Foundation doesn't show you is to take a laser so you can see the ions. The growth. You see, all these different wavelengths are all just from 2 silver rods. You guys are following a nuclear physicist that's showing you to use a blowtorch, the nanocoat stuff, and to wash away your colloids and your ions, to use positive orb materials that allow bacteria to live in different parts of the body via electrostatic transport. Henceforth, why the group is kinetic energy electrostatic attraction, being able to fight against that and destroy self-adapted viruses that are able to use flavins and so forth, change their potentiality and move through the human body. All these different silvers that are here, I'm mixing and putting in these bottles. We're offering programmed Kelia water with VP882 and many other things that are in it so that you can boost your immune system, boost your families, cleanse your water. You can also put it in your water without having to take it so that the water is, through sympathetic reentrainment, is programmed and structured by it. As you see with all of our stuff with the plasma bottles. Plasma grows life. You see this stuff in there. Let it be. You see the water's leaking and disappearing. The quiche stuff, they keep it in plastic. I can't do that with mine. You see the dimples. That was in a sealed quartz. Evaporated out. All of those quartz were cord and hydros. They're all dry. The Kelia water station. It has ions in it, as you see. Live and light, Leon. I'm glad that it helped you.
I'm keeping you up in parenting because I know you need to fight this
You see, we douse our plasma so that we know exactly what it's good for and what it is. Reports, people are able to see what our plasmas are good for. These are what they're good for. They'll fight against our cause. Unlike the Cache Foundation, we know what our plasmas are good for, what they protect against. Good for against EMF, 5G, because of my esoteric and soothsaying practices, word tunings, I ask, different things. Each one is different. You notice because I've always been working on patient zero of mine, which is my mother. The zikrs that I vibrate out are always one that heal autoimmune. It's my anti-venom connection with mixing my sperm in my reactors. And like I said, I have the little optic triism guy, the salamander. Someone kind of shook it. Disturbing. This plasma is 3 years old. There's the pocket of worms that I pulled and emulsified. Hold on a second. From a 2-pound block of shungite. And finding all kind of stuff in the shungite. Remember, the shungite's supposed to be several billions of years old. You see those? It's interesting, when we doused them, they came back as fluke worms. This batch, which eat on pork, and so forth. I'm going to be doing some studying. And be it that it comes from such, I bet there's a way they can break its intrinsics and figure out how to stop this coronavirus. Even better than using VPAA2. Little Mr. Bottles. Don't keep them in clear. That helps. Block out the light. Hold the intrinsic fields. Keeps from getting photocatalyst aggregate happening. All of our vibrational medicines are going to be encoded. These intrinsic theta fields and with silver to ensure and keep everyone in our community safe. As you see, what is the Quiche Foundation doing that? Non-chemical, all from linear transmutation. Why do they never show you? Truth. One cup, one life. Should bring a laser out. Show this out of potential. See how this one exhorts it. You understand? Oh, you see the colors. It's refracting. The ions on colloids and true GANs. These are all the tops on plasma, true plasma. You guys rinse your stuff down the drain with your salts, but you still have some there, but it's more colloid. And then you drink that stuff. It's crazy. Drew all this out. The only plasma book good in the world. Several gallons of plasma. Developing and growing. Plasma crystals. So many plasmas. So many different types. So many different types that I've made already prepared for this. So you, Mark? How are you doing, brother? I was wondering, would you give, how has the plasma helped you? The little selenite pendant that I gave you.
What?
The little selenite pendant that I gave you that had the beeswax.
How did it work?
How did it help you?
The stress?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm just doing a testimony if you'd like to give one.
Yeah, sure. Right now?
Sure.
Oh.
I'm live.
Huh?
I'm live.
Oh. No, I mean, I just went back on my, I go to have another CT scan on the 10th, but it caused me a lot less stress and worry as far as every day dealing with cancer itself. Because, well, you know, it's really hard for me, it still is. But it just helped me daily. I still wear one chain broke, so I have it at home, but I religiously don't really take it off. But I would recommend it for anybody that has a lot of stress or anxiety. You know, helps you with feeling about self-worth. You know.
Did it help you with your lymph blockages?
Yeah, yep, I think it did, because I haven't taken my medicine now for, well, I took it 3 weeks, and that was 2 months ago. All I've had on was that necklace, the one you gave me, and the one with the wax on it. Something's keeping them down. But the reason I'm going back is because I'm having a repair in my neck, and I've been really dragging as far as energy, but I don't know if it's just because.
I got some of this I'll make up for you. I think what this new stuff that I have mixed in will overconquer the stuff that's coming in and hurting everyone. It's the silver that I've been making and programming for the last years. Making for this coronavirus and other self-adapted viruses.
Yeah, boy, that thing's just taking off. Yep. No, that's fine. I'll try it. I haven't tried this stuff, but it makes it well.
See, you notice? I made every color.
Oh, yeah. Is that your new card?
Yeah. But that's why the chakras are on there, to match the waveform.
Oh, yeah. I love this store. That's pretty cool. I don't know what that's for, but I come in here and it just gives me positive energy.
Here, if you turn around, I'll show you.
Good, baby. Yeah, it's kind of gloomy on my way here. Now I'm actually smiling now. Someone come in the store.
I love you, brother.
I'm going to have to open the second one just to keep smiling while my days. How's Maria?
She's good. She went up to the hot springs.
Oh, where's that?
Sierraville.
Oh, Sierraville. Just for
The day.
cool. Take a day to yourself?
Yeah. Some relaxed time. Decompress. Ground in the hot springs.
Guess they won the settlement down there. The homeless.
Mm-hmm.
$333,000.
It's a problem.
I wasn't part of it though.
How do you feel?
The team. Got my necklace done with cookies. I had time to work on it.
Busy. Here you are, brother.
Thank you. Am I right with this?
5 times in the mouth.
Okay.
Keep the community safe.
Anything like that other stuff I got. It works. Hell, just the store works on me coming in here.
No hands. No hands.
So, mixing all of these programming, be having snowballs and 18. Bring in your own containers. Program down it close to the plasma. Program to SE5. This intrinsic data fields.
Oh, there's something. They were great.
Open that area.